Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Red Wolf Horse 765, and Midnight Gemlord. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and Merlin, what did you do? Tell me, what did you do? How is Gawain, the next perfect wielder of sun or sunshine? And where'd she get that blade from? Like, legitimately, I don't know. Ever since Gawain sort of appeared in the narrative, it's just been like question after question after question after question. Like, notably, or if you've been around for a while, we all remember, like, everyone kind of spotting, everyone minus me because I'm dumb, but everyone kind of spotting Gawain in the background when people were looking for Gawain, which feels forever ago. Like, what? Around, like, we're already in chapter. It's nearly 30 chapters ago that we were all looking for Gawain. But with that being the case, she's been nothing but questioned. I think one of the biggest questions is Litta, ironically enough. Like, the blade itself and how it is also Litta or Rita. It depends on how the official translation really doles it out. I'm not sure what they translate it as in the volumes. If someone has the volumes and could tell me, thank you. I really appreciate it. But Litta as a blade that still exists has a lot of questions for me. And I wonder if any of them are going to be answered. Mainly because we haven't seen Gawain pick up Litta, like, ever. Ever since she lost it and then passed out, we have not seen her pick up, seemingly, her main weapon for a while now. And another thing I kind of wonder is, obviously, Litta is born of Litta, or Rita, once again, however it's called. Let me know. But with that being the case, it makes me wonder, did Merlin forge it? Did she take the remains of Rita and then proceed to hammer it down, hammer it in, forge it into Litta for Gawain? I genuinely don't know. And also, where's the rest of it? Like, Litta, like, they're so close. That was actually a genuine mess up and not a joke. But but Rita was, like, lost. Like, if you remember, we lost Rita not at the final fight with Escanor, not at anywhere specifically in Camelot. No, Escanor dropped Rita as the original demon, punted that bad boy all the way over to Mael. That's how far Litta went, and it broke apart along the way. So where's the rest of the axe? Is anyone else using any other pieces? Notably, this axe is no joke. It's made by Dabuzu, and if you go back to the Nakabi Q&A questions, fun fact, Rita itself is actually heavier than just Gideon. Yeah, that gigantic, multi-story tall warhammer that Diane wields, yeah, Rita's actually heavier than that. So the thing is, or the thing that I'm wondering in particular, is where's the rest of the weapon, and how to go and get her hands on one piece of it. And if so, is her new weapon, which I assume is going to not just be Litta. I highly doubt 3 of the 4 knights are going to remain swordsmen, or at least I hope 3 of the 4 knights don't remain swordsmen. But with that being the case, where is the next step? Are they going to find the rest of Rita? Especially considering, seemingly enough, their next step is going to be going back to where Gawain was, or at least where Tristan found Gawain, and maybe possibly her hometown. It's been discussed recently in the chapters of the series that, oh, my town is beautiful. Wouldn't it be great if you, Isolde, would come and visit it with me? Oh, there's this whole mystery on what we're supposed to do with finding Camelot and a way into it, and we have a direct resident of a town apparently near Camelot, but not Camelot itself, that has connections and ties back to Camelot, which would be Gawain's family. And overall, the appearance of Rita has me wondering about the status of Sacred Treasures as a whole. Or is that our pseudo-next objective? Because initially I thought that was going to be our main objective. Our cast does not have weapons that suit them. Like, Dragon Handle cannot be taken by Percy. I'm assuming that weapon is going to be taken away from him, mainly because it is an extremely dangerous risk for Arthur to be able to get his hands on. 2, Lancelot can't seemingly wield a weapon outside of a bow that won't immediately break when he uses a fraction, notably a fraction, of his power. And 3, I believe Esterosa and Mael were both destroyed, or at least one of them was destroyed when Lancelot used Shining Road. So all the crew's kind of out of weapons, except for maybe Gawain, who can summon Litta to her, but we haven't seen her do that. Gawain's been kind of stuck in this weird tiny form for a while now. And the whole question around Litta is, what was it made out of? Where did Dabuzu get it? If Dabuzu is going to be making the next weapons for our cast, Is he going to need resources? How is he going to get those? Notably, he is a giant, so it's hypothetical that he could spawn the resources just, as he needs. In Cursed by Light, there was an abundance of his weapons that he just made without any pretext, but of course, those were just generic weapons, so we don't know if there are any special properties, like the Sacred Treasures actually have, that he would actually need to forge with special materials. Because I'm assuming not every piece of metal out there would just be able to absorb the residual energy of one of the two deities of the world, like Rita was able to do. And speaking of that, does Rita the axe, or Litta the blade, still maintain the properties that it had in axe form? Can Gawain access or store her power within that area? And if so, is that why she's small? Does Litta act as a key, essentially unlocking her abilities? Because notably, she hasn't activated them under the pretense of the sun. And we know that Merlin is capable of making magical inhibitors. Like, the whole reason Escanor can hide throughout the day without going to Bolscanor is because of the glasses that Merlin made that act as a pretty much a block runner. They allow sunshine to release the energy, but they essentially block Escanor's body from processing it. So does Litta, the sword, have an opposite effect? Is that why Gawain is so tiny? I just genuinely don't know. The whole circumstances surrounding Gawain, her magic, her weapon, all of that is just really, really weird. And I don't know what's next for them. Overall, I do hope Gawain gets her weapon back, just because her without a weapon right now is kind of bad, especially considering that she at least seemingly relies pretty heavily on it in terms for, like, most of her attacks. She has Sunshine Burst, and she has some point and fire Sunshine abilities, but notably her most effective weapon, Duraneg, requires not just a little bit of magic, but an actual tangible weapon. And of course, weapons seem to get an overall much more massive buff in this series, and considering that we now have a quantifiable multiplier on what a weapon can actually do for you when infused with magic. That 10 times multiplier will obviously go crazy, not to talk of a 10 times multiplier on top of a piece of a sacred treasure. And of course, the mystery right now is whether or not having a piece of a sacred treasure actually gives you the same quantifiable amp as a regular sacred treasure. Like, hypothetically, if you were to snap the head off of Chassis Full, imbue it with some arc magic and throw that bad boy, would it have more power? Less power? We don't actually know that. I think that's the whole great mystery surrounding Litta right now, and whether or not it actually ends up being used for just a weapon that gets replaced, and whether or not it becomes a part of Gawain's kit permanently due to the fact that it could have some contributor to her magic, and or is just a piece that was cool to see, it was a nice reference, and ends up just never being brought up again. Because we're currently in a weird middle ground right now, just because of the in-between nature of the story and where it's going being very, very vague. We've been discussing ever since the end of the Chaos and Leonis arc whether or not the story has a clear direction outside of just boom and a long-term goal of getting to Camelot and beating Arthur, when we just have the vague pretenses of an adventure. We're kind of back at the original starting point of Four Knights of the Apocalypse again, where we have a whole bunch of characters, a whole bunch of different goals that sort of intertwine, that have one big major goal at the end that we aren't sure when or whether or not we will ever reach it. Of course, we're going to reach it eventually, but overall, the ideas that have been presented in Four Knights since its inception have been rearing their head again. And that prevalent mystery is simultaneously one of my favorite parts about the series, because it allows me to make discussion videos like this, and also my most hated part of the series, because gosh darn it, like, I just want to know. But that's pretty much every series that happens to release in a serial fashion that I cannot just immediately slurp up without any worry of waiting. Man, I am so glad I found Manga when it was over. But regardless, this sort of discussion is always interesting to me, and I want to know your thoughts. Do you think Litta will be a permanent part of Gawain's kit, or do you believe it's going to be replaced, or something in between? Let me know in the comment section that happened to be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. We can support for as low as $1 a month to get these exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, I suppose I do now have memberships for the channel, which you can become a member for as low as $2.99 a month in order to get things like exclusive member badges, exclusive member emojis, early comment response, and much, much more, including things like early content. And on top of that, fun fact, some exclusive videos. However, enough chilling. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, happening to be writing off.